Hello, everyone. This is Dominic. I am the host of the Self-Achievement Network. I welcome all of you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whatever time it is, whatever time of day you're watching this live or whether you're watching the video. Tonight, right now here in Chicago, it's 7:30 p.m. And the title of the workshop tonight is called The Power of Questions. The Power of Questions. Now, everybody does a lot of, I shouldn't say everybody, some people, they do a lot of planning, personal strategic planning. Some people don't do much at all. This particular workshop is really designed for people that either do it now and are looking for more information, or people that haven't done it or so much of it in the past and would like to get started with it. So I put this together a little while ago. I mean, there's some information here that I have been spreading around for quite a number of years over time. But I wanted to share this one again because it's really important that you understand the true power of questions when it comes to your own personal strategic plan. A lot of people go to work each day, and what are they doing for their employer? They are doing their employer's strategic plan. And then when they get off work, they go home, and most of the time, they don't do any strategic planning. They have goals and dreams, and that's all great. But the point of this is that when you take a little bit of time to ask yourself some really powerful questions in certain areas of your life, then the progress that you make is speeded up so much, so great, that you I can't believe that you haven't done this before. So I'm going to start really simply just by going through some of the information, and then I'm going to share with you one of the, I'm going to pull it down here right now. One of the tools that I've been using, call them killer tools, how to uncover barriers that hold you back. I'm going to go through that. I'm going to share that with you. And there's another document that I'm going to share that I use in the coaching process that I'm not going to go through it in detail because it's probably going to take too much time, but I'll have the download for the other one available so you can pull it down and work on it if that's what you choose to do. So this is the other document that I'm going to share with you. That one actually is located in a different group that I do live workshops, other live workshops, paid workshops in. So the bottom line, very simply, is that questions are super, super, super powerful when it comes to you planning your life. Now, most people don't plan their life on paper. You see the quotes and stuff on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and all that. Oh, dream big, have dreams, 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 dreams. But we all know the truth is that dreams are just ideas until they're written down and they're broken out and they're in your calendar. Then they become goals. And when you do that little process, things really begin, your life really begins to speed up because you've put some thought into what you're wanting to accomplish. I'm going to switch over to look at the comments section. If you decide to log in and you want to let me know that you're here, you can type in the comment section, type your name in there, and if I have a question or if you have a question, you can type that in there, and then we can communicate in that way. Otherwise, there's no other feedback for me right now to communicate with you except through that comment section there. So, in terms of a personal strategic plan, what I always recommend to people is that you begin with a long-term view of your life, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It's a long-term view. And the most important part of the long-term view is that you plan with an ideal life thinking process in your head. Ideally, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want the reality of your day-to-day life to be in 1, 3, 5, 10 years? And it's got to be this ideal thinking, because it's in the process of thinking ideally, right, that you create for yourself a plan that is more of the plan that you really want to have for your life. This is like, you read the quotes. There's another quote: life is not about discovering yourself, or it's about defining yourself, right? You don't find yourself, you define yourself, right? Really, really important. So the biggest single obstacle to setting goals are the self-limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves, like we're not good enough, right? So these involve areas where you believe that you're limited in some way. And, we've all got them. I've had them in the past. I've had them all. And I'm sure you also have had them all. You may believe that you are inadequate in some way, or inferior, maybe in your intelligence. You never got a formal education. Maybe a certain ability that you have, a talent that you may feel inadequate about, your creativity, your personality. Maybe you don't think, I just don't, I'm not outgoing and whatever, right? That's all a bunch of crap, and you know that. So the result of that is that you basically sell yourself short, and you underestimate yourself. So you end up not setting any goals, or maybe you may set low goals, and and we know where that leads, right? So the point is that you got to remember that the bottom line is that you are in fact capable of so much more, of accomplishing things that you never thought that you could accomplish. So you begin by this whole thinking, right? Ideal life thinking. So when you combine ideal life thinking and future thinking, it's magical. You cancel out the whole process of self-limitations. So you want to get your head on into the game. You get your head on straight. Have you heard that before? My dad used to say all the time, "Hey, get your head on straight." Well, yeah, it's like getting focused. So, you imagine for the moment that you don't have any limitations at all. And that's the most difficult thing, because the brain, when it's left on its own, when you're not forcing yourself to think in a certain way, right? Your brain goes off on these tangents, and it thinks, oh, well, if you're not focused on a goal, it's going to take you down that path of where all the limitations and the barriers are. So you have to think, you imagine that you have all the time that you need, you have all the talent that you need, you have all the abilities that you could ever need to achieve any goal that you set for yourself. You have to start thinking in that way. That's called, ideal life thinking. So no matter where you are in life, no matter what your age is, you imagine that you have all the friends, you have all the contacts, you have all the relationships, you have all the money, you have everything that you need to achieve what you really want to achieve. That's ideal life thinking. You imagine that you have no limitations, no matter what, right? On what you could have, you could be, what you could do. So when you begin to think like that, that's when you really begin to take charge of the conversation that's going on in your head. You force those thoughts. I can't accomplish anything. And it's not good enough to have dreams, because it takes more than just a dream in your head to create a more ideal life situation. So anyway, there's been studies done for a long time. They've analyzed men and women who've achieved, average results, and they've studied people that have achieved great results and achieved a lot of different things. And, they found out that, every time that, they began thinking from that idealistic point of view, that's when things really began to take off. Because if you get into that mindset that you can accomplish anything, instead of, well, as soon as I get over this, or as soon as I handle this part of my life, then everybody's waiting for a then, it's not going to happen. You got to get yourself into that ideal life thinking, right? So you imagine that all things are possible. Just like you look up into the sky and it's like there's no clouds in the sky. There's no barriers there. There's nothing. So you think about that all the time. I really, if you're on the bus or you're in the car, you start thinking, listen, I really don't have any real barriers. All the barriers are in my head. So, you project that forward several years, and then you begin to imagine that your life is perfect in every way. And then you look back where you are today and you ask yourself this one very important question. And here's the question. What would have to happen for me to have created my perfect future? Isn't that an amazing question? What would have to happen for me to have created my perfect future? See, this is about powerful questions. And that particular question right there is powerful because it gets you to look at, wait a minute, is it really possible? And the answer is yes. Then you come back to where you are in the present in your own mind and you ask, right, what would have to happen from this point forward for me to achieve all my goals sometime in the future? What would have to happen from right now, from this moment forward, for me to achieve all my goals in the future? Another really powerful question. Most people never ask themselves that question. And see, that's the power of having a coach like I had to put me through these little exercises and processes and begin to get me to think differently. Because on my own, I was very limited in the way that I was thinking. So when you practice ideal life thinking and future thinking, that the point is that you don't make any compromises with your dreams and your goals, your visions, for yourself and your future. You stop making those compromises. Well, after I finish this, or maybe after I get married, or after when, you stay focused. So when you're thinking this ideal life thing and thinking about the future, you stop compromising on what you really want to create. You don't really have to settle for smaller goals or, half success. Instead, you dream big dreams, and that's what is really important. You need to have big dreams, but more than that, you need to have a really good, solid plan. You need to have the plan written down on paper. You need to have the plan inside of a calendar so that you're doing something every single day to get you toward that goal. So there's different areas of life. You could start with your business or career. I don't know if you have a business or not, but you could start with that one, or you could start with relationships. It doesn't really matter. But you imagine what for example, your ideal career would be. And you ask questions like, what would it really look like? My ideal. What would I be doing? Where would I be doing it? Who would I be working with? And what level of responsibility would I have? What kind of skills would I have in that type of career? It's really, when you begin to break it down and start to ask those kinds of questions and you begin to write down your answers, what you're really doing is you're defining yourself. You're defining your life. It's that simple. So I'm going to pull down this right here, the file. Oh, wait, where is it? Where is it? This one right here. Okay. This document right here. Ideal life questions. And I just put down 1 year, and it could be 1 year, 3 year, 5 years. You can do it for however many years that you want. And so I always recommend people looking at their personal growth path, because if you're only focused on one or two things like health or career or relationship stuff, you won't go back to the personal growth part of it, because you've got to have a continued lifelong education type mentality that, as long as you're alive, there's always going to be something to learn. So again, you apply questions like this one right here. It says, my ideal personal growth plan is to. Now, here's a really important point. You may not know the answer to that, but you can guess. You can come up with some sort of even if it's a vague description of your ideal personal growth plan. Ideally, what I want to accomplish from my ideal personal growth plan is. So you come up with some sort of an answer for that gives you direction. If you don't have an answer for that, then you will scatter yourself like a shotgun in a lot of different directions and make some progress, of course. But when you put it into a laser beam and you focus it, that's when you can slice through all kinds of problems and barriers. So this ideal life thinking, ideally, each day I'm working on priorities in blank area of my life. The changes I will start making today are how I will achieve this is. And now, again, there's no one perfect answer for any of these. It's really about you beginning to define and take apart all the stuff that is in your head floating around in there and get it focused into one spot. This stuff is magical. It's amazing. And this is the kind of stuff that we go through in the Achievement Seminar, the Achievement Webinar, which is coming soon. So here's another area of life, health. Ideally, here it is again, right? I want to look and feel. Now, you may say, well, I'm too old, or I'm this age. And ideally, yeah, I would like to look like I'm 26 years old, but that's not a reality. But you have to look at where you're at right now. So ideally, even if you're 20 or 30 pounds overweight, you can answer that question saying, ideally, I want to look and feel like this, 20 pounds lighter or 15 pounds lighter, or wearing a size X. And then you look at your ideal weight. Now, we're not figuring out how to do it yet. You're just looking at ideals, ideals, ideals. Ideally, I exercise because that's part of the program. You got to have, exercise and diet. Ideally, I eat what? More natural foods, a lot more vegetables, whatever. So you begin to figure it out. And I'm going to say it again. I keep saying this in all the different workshops that I do. It's you forcing yourself to go through these exercises that is the real magic of the whole thing, because it forces you to think. Questions are answers. The questions are answers to help you to move forward in your life. So, you stop being, walking around being confused and, sometimes maybe feeling like a victim and, my children take up all my time and blah, blah, blah. No, you have to force yourself to change. That's the way that it works. And you don't have to. I'm not saying that anybody has to force themselves to change, but it could take a lot of time, and maybe 10, 15 years are going to go by. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, nothing has really changed so much in my life. Yeah, I've had a lot of events, but you have to force change yourself. It's the same thing with family. I've gone through all these questions and I have them all written out. I've done this for a long time. I've changed them over the years. I've gone back and revised. And you have to, again, look at ideally what you want your family to look like. How do you want your family to be? How do you want your relationships with your mother and father, or your relationships with your children and your brothers and sisters? And you may not have children or brothers or sisters, but you can change these to whomever you have in your life, right? Could be an uncle or an aunt. And then you look at the changes I will start making today are, and you begin to list as much as you can, right, for each one of these. Now, it may not be perfect the first time around, and it may take you a week to go through this and begin to answer some of these questions, and it may take you 2 weeks. There's no time frame, set, but you begin to look at ideal life thinking, right? And that's what this is all about here. You see? So this document is available, all right? I'm going to put the link at the end of the webinar so that you can download it if you want. Actually, this one I'm not going to do. I take that back. This one I'm not, because this is part of the coaching process. That's a paid part. But what you can do is you can download this other one, which has got some other awesome, cool questions on it, okay? And this one here is called How to Uncover Barriers That Hold You Back. Now, this is awesome. This is one of the first exercises that I put myself through a long time ago, and began to use this as a guide. And so how to uncover barriers that hold you back. I'm just going to flip through here, right? And why? Well, when you feel stuck and you're not sure what to do first, because you need a plan. You need something to do, because people walk around and they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Well, what I say to those people is, listen, stop being a victim. Get yourself into a different mindset and begin to do something that you can, that you can make some changes. And there's tons and tons of tools out there in the internet universe. Here's another one that you can use. If you like it, right, then you can use it. If you don't like it, well, fine. Take a look at it. And, there's lots and lots of tools that I've created for you, lots of free stuff. And so, here it is right here. So how to uncover the barriers that hold you back. When you ask yourself great questions, you get great answers. Dumb questions, dumb answers. Great questions, great answers. That's how it works. Here are 9 awesome questions for you to answer so you can begin to get clear about your challenges, and the barriers that hold you back from having the things in life that you really want. Why? Because you deserve the best. You deserve to have an amazing life. You deserve the opportunity to create your life to be any way that you want to. You deserve that. Don't worry about how you're going to accomplish these things yet, okay? There are other resources to help you with goal achievement, and they're coming down the road. I've got them already done. I will show them to you, and you can have them all. So just follow the instructions right now. It's important to make yourself do the following process. Most people never sit down and get really clear on what they really want and what they don't want. They just walk around, man, I gotta stop hanging out with that person. I gotta break up, whatever I gotta get a different job. And then slowly things begin to change. No, this is about speeding it up. So the big reason why they're not satisfied is because they haven't taken the time to figure out exactly what they need to do and what they need to change and how they need to change it. So that's why they do and say things that are out of alignment with what they think they want. They haven't yet created anything to align with. So planning is super important. Just like planning for retirement. People are like, oh, it's so difficult, it's so complicated, I'm never going to make enough money. But planning is really, really, really important, because when your mind gets clear about a goal, right, meaning when your mind can see it or visualize the picture or visualize the result, the mind, you get excited and you want to start creating it. I call those people tail waggers, because when you get the picture in your head that what you really want to do, like I want to do that, then it's like that's where the energy comes from. You see? So you know how it is. If your car windshield is dirty, here's a little, I don't know what you call it, an example. It's hard to see objects clearly, so the eyes can't steer you in the right direction. If you're driving down the road and it started raining mud, and you turned on the windshield wipers, well, maybe, it would get clear for a second, but eventually you're going to run out of wiper fluid. And you're going to have to stop and clean, the windshield off so that you can see. It's the same thing. You got to get the mud out of your brain. You got to create a clear vision for yourself. So like the eyes that can't see clearly, the mind will drift in other directions, most of the time to things that have more satisfaction in the moment, instant gratification, like cake or ice cream or the list is endless, you know? So people will take themselves in many, many different directions. These things may satisfy you or them or people momentarily, but they won't get you what you really want in the long run. If today was your last day here on planet Earth, did you get what you wanted? Did you get what you wanted? If today was your last day on the planet, were you satisfied? Are you okay with not waking up tomorrow? And, you know, I know that sounds a little morbid, but at the same time, it's a really important question to ask yourself. Were you satisfied? Did you get what you really ideally wanted? And I want you to think about this while you're making your list. Also, take the time doing the exercise. Take your time doing this exercise. Don't rush through it. Do some and then come back later when your mind is fresh or when you have other thoughts. You can carry a journal with you. If you're, you know, thinking of something and then you want to, you know, write it down, write it down. It's really, really, really a good idea to do that. So carry your journal with you so you can add to it if you think of something in the moment you'd like to add. Lastly, acknowledge yourself for taking a stand to move yourself in a different direction. Really important. Go stand in front of the mirror and say, listen, you are freaking awesome. You're taking a stand. You're pushing yourself in a different direction. You know how it is? If you can imagine, right? You've seen these big old boats, these cruise liners, right? And how do they get them to turn when they're in a tight spot? They have to use a tugboat to push it. And that's kind of what this is. It's like you're pushing something external to force a change. So that's exactly what this is. So anyway, acknowledge yourself for taking a stand to move yourself in a different direction, in a direction that will ultimately be more satisfying for you. Really, really important. So get a journal after this, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to write 30 ideas for each of the questions. There's 9 of them. Yes, I said 30. Okay. Now, you may not get to 30 the first time around. You may get to 30 the second or the third time around. That's okay. Anybody can write 10 or 5. You know, that's easy. But you're not anyone. You're you. You're the one that you care about the most. So just do it. I'm just saying it. Do it, do it, do it. And you're going to be blown away by doing this exercise. So at the top of a clean sheet of paper, you write the first question in big letters. Then in the left-hand column, you write numbers 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 30. So here's the first question and the first example. So a long time ago was asked, so what's not working in your life, Dominic? What's not working? Guy said, write it at the top of the page. What's not working in my life is, you know that big white margin at the top of the paper? Write it up in there if you have that kind of paper, or just write it in big letters so that you can see it. And then down the left-hand column of the page, write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way down to 30. I know this says 21 right there, but write all the way down to 30. And then begin to list all the things that are not working in your life the way that you want them to. It doesn't matter. Random. I don't have enough money. My relationship with my partner sucks. My car needs repaired. I can't afford it. I don't feel close to my kids. I don't feel healthy. I need to start exercising. I don't have time to take a vacation. My house is a mess. My boss gets on my nerves. My drive to work is too long. I sit in traffic all day. My mom and dad are getting too old. I get in arguments with people at work. I have a hard time communicating. Right? So you write down all these things that come to your mind. Now, you may get to 30 and say, you know, I got a lot more. Then write more. Write 30, write 40 rather, 50, 60, doesn't matter. Write as many of them that come up for you. And when you think of another one, write it down. Because when you write it down, you get to remove it from your brain. You get to take it out of your brain and put it down on a piece of paper in front of you so that you can see it, so that you can deal with it instead of avoiding. Okay? If you're serious about creating what you want, dig deep and really work on this. Okay? Don't quit on yourself. That's the thing that people do more than anything. I talked about this in the last workshop. People quit all the time. They quit because they want to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Relaxed, chilled. They don't want to have problems, so they avoid, but then they just keep building up. So don't quit on yourself. Don't settle for your comfort. And that's the word was looking for, because people want to be comfortable, stay in their comfort zone. The thing is, you're worth it. You matter, and your life is important. So remember that. You're worth it, you matter, and your life is important to you. You matter to you. You're worth it to you. And the people around you, when you begin to do this and make things a reality, they also benefit. Okay? So, the only thing good about quitting is when you quit doing something that's hurting you or holding you back. The effort you put into something is always equal to what you get out of what you're doing. So I even talked about this in the last workshop. It's impossible to fail. You cannot fail because the effort that you put in is equal to what you get out. The quality and satisfaction of your life depends on the effort you put in. So give yourself a gift. Open your mind and your heart and go for it. Give it everything that you have. Don't cheat yourself. You've been doing that for too long. Don't cheat yourself. Now, get a journal, okay? Write each heading below on the top of a clean sheet of paper in a notebook or a journal, wherever. And you might want to skip a page in between to allow yourself for more ideas as they come up later. And here are the 9 questions. Page number 1, big bold letters at the top of the page. What's not working in my life is. Flip the page. Go to the next clean page. Things I want to have presently and do not have are. Flip the page. Go to the next clean page. Things I want to do presently and am not doing are. You can make your list one down the left-hand column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 30. Okay, and then you begin writing. You could put these in there first, at the top of each page, or you can do them one at a time. It doesn't matter. There's no wrong or right way to do this. The important thing is to do it. Things I want to stop that are continuing, and it could be bad habits. It could be swearing. I mean, there's just a million. It could be anything. Things I want to start that I can't seem to get started. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's reading something maybe it's working on a project. Okay. Don't worry about how you're going to figure it all out. Just write it down on paper. Here's the next one. Things I want to be and am not. We want to be what? A great husband, a great father, a great uncle, a great whatever it may be. You want to be a scientist. You want to be whatever. Things I want to be and am not are. Write your 30 down, 1 through 30 down the left column. Number 7 says major decisions I need to make. Major decisions. Oh, well, I can't make that decision until this, until that. No, don't worry about all that. Don't even think about worrying about it. Just write the decisions down that you need on this piece of paper on this list. Number 8, things in my life that I'm avoiding are. And number 9, my main reasons I want to change are. Come up with as many really good reasons for wanting to change. Very, very important. So I hope that you are enjoying this. I love this exercise. I love doing it, in any format, whether it's live. So when you're done, what you're going to do is you're going to circle the most important thing on each list. So it's not going to be an easy thing. You may think, oh, they're all important. Well, force yourself to really look down that list and choose the most important one. Now, what I would recommend is that you circle it in pencil so that you can change it if you need to. All right. But just see if you can focus on one thing for each one of those lists. So you have 9 lists. You're going to go to each list and you're going to circle one of those things on that list. Okay. 1. See if you can narrow it down to 1. The next step will be to take the most important items that you circled and break them down into achievable goals, projects, and simple action tasks. It says here, if you're a coaching student, contact your coach to set up the next coaching call. That would be something that you would do in the future if you have chosen to do a one-on-one type of coaching situation with the Institute for Self-Achievement. And finally, here it says, get awesome and stay awesome because you deserve it. It's impossible to fail. Remember that. It's impossible to fail. You get out what you put in. You always get back what you put in. Making yourself go through this process of thinking and write it is so freaking powerful. Don't just think it, write it down. Really, really important. You can download this. You can print it out. You can do whatever you want with it. It's going to come in a PDF format. Here's some other tools that I've put together. If you have issues with the boss, you can look at how can you hack these guys so that you don't have such a problem. Anyway, you can take a look at this later, but that's all. If you decide to share it, all I ask is that you invite people into the self-achievement group, into this group, and give them also the opportunity that you're being given right now. So pay it forward, invite your friends into the group. I'm here to help in any way that I possibly can. I don't always have time to respond to every little single email that I get, and I do my best. And some of you may know that I'm caregiving for my mother right now, the sweetest woman on the planet, and she needs my help, so I'm being pulled in that direction. But hey, that's okay. I'm hoping one of these days somebody's going to help take care of me. So with that, I will not keep you any longer. Let me take a look at the time here. It's 8:06. It's been only 36 minutes. Very good. I don't have anything else that I want to share with you. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. I plan on doing these every Wednesday. I am considering doing them at random times during the day. So instead of having a specific time that I need to be online, I can do this and record it, and people can play it at their convenience. So with that, take care. Have a great afternoon, a great evening, a great morning. Whatever you do, make it a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.